What's going on, good people? It's Nguvu from my Run and Gun Firearms Training, and tonight I'm talking about managing the dot brightness on your EDC. Alright, so I just wanted to touch on some things that we all need to consider if we're using a red dot, green dot, gold dot, whatever it is on our EDC pistol or even our duty pistol. So typically what will happen is you'll adjust your dot brightness and before you leave the house, right? So whatever lighting environment that you have in your home is what you're basing that off of. Of course, we're going to move throughout different lighting environments throughout the day, whether it's in our car, whether it's outside, in another building other than that. It's going to be constantly changing. So having a dot that you can either change quickly or that will auto adjust is important, but there's some pros and cons to that. With the adjusting yourself is probably the most accurate way if you're familiar with your dot and you know how many adjustments you need to go up or down, because what is going to be a good brightness inside definitely might not be good enough or bright enough for you to pick it up once you go out into the bright sunlight. And then where I am, it's, winter is approaching, so once you get snow on the ground, it's going to be even brighter outside. So being able to manage that either through your shirt or through your cover garment is important. So when you're changing lighting environments, because what you don't want is to bring out your pistol and then suddenly, because your lighting environment has changed, you can't see your reticle. All right. The other way would be to do what I've been experimenting with. I have a Holosun 507C on here, and for the last couple of months, I've kept it on the auto adjust setting. So I've used it inside with dry fire, just throughout the house in different lighting intensities. I've used it outside in the rain, when it was cloudy, when it was sunny, when the sun was starting to set. So in a few different lighting conditions outside as well. Not too many other buildings, because pulling my gun out in public might not be a good idea. But what I've learned is that the auto adjust is really good on these Holosuns. The only issue that I see with it would be when you're using your white light, which is an issue really in all situations, depending on the brightness of your reticle. Once you add white light, like I run a weapon mounted light, or for those of you that like the handheld route, once you introduce that additional light, you might wash out your reticle. So that's just something to consider. So what I normally will do is run, if I'm doing it manually, I'll run my dot just a notch or a setting higher than I would normally want it, just in case to give me that added insurance. But the other thing about this is that it's going to base the brightness of the reticle on your current lighting environment. So if I'm in this room, my reticle is fine. It's based on this lighting environment. The problem is if I were to open my door and let's say the hallway is dark and there's a target or something I need to aim at in that dark environment, I'm still fine because there's enough light in here that the reticle is going to be bright. But if you reverse those lighting conditions and make it dark in the room that I'm in and bright or well lit in the hallway or whatever it is, now I'm going to have an issue, because as there is fewer light or less light in the room that I'm in, the brightness level of the dot will be reduced, so it's going to be really dim. When I have that really dim reticle and I point it outside the room or into another room that's brightly lit, then it's going to get washed out. So some things you need to really consider. I'm going to leave it on auto adjust, because that scenario where you're in a room that is dim and then you have to engage something that's in a brighter area is probably less likely to happen. And I know for a fact, just being honest, I'm not going to get in my car and adjust it. I'm not going to come out of my car and adjust it. If it starts to rain and it gets cloudy, I'm not going to reach down and adjust my reticle. Every time I walk in a building or leave that building, I'm not going to adjust my reticle. So the auto adjust works well for me. But let me know which method you use, or if you just put it on one setting and put it really bright and it just works in almost any lighting environment that you might come across, or if you have another method, whether it's adjusting or doing something else. But let me know in the comments what you do. It might be something else that I'm not considering. But either way, y'all be safe.
You know about, give me the 14, when it's 14, me kill 14, what you know about, AR-15, the class 16, making out the start steam, what you know about, DM-16, yeah, you're 16, the clip 16, what you know about, the AK-47, the 8-9 and the Mark 11, what you